I hear a lot of HR professionals talk about mental health, talk about helping others, but then when I ask the question, so what have you done? How have you trained your leaders to notice what's going on so that way you can help these folks who might be going through some sort of mental health crisis? And we talk about it. Okay, so we talk about our EAP, right? Can you tell me how to contact your EAP without looking it up? Well, no, then you don't talk about it enough. How many of you have employees who believe that the company knows what's being asked of the EAP and won't call the EAP?
You still have the stigma of they think that anything they tell the EAP gets back to HR.
It's about saying we can have the conversation, and it's okay to have the conversation because, frankly, if you don't, worse things could happen.
Arnie, you ready to get started?
Let's do this. Let's do this. We are live at SHRM 26 at iSolve's booth. You're the first one.
I'm the first one.
You're the first one.
Numero.
I broke it. Here we go. All right. I love it. I love it.
We're gonna
and
stumble through.
And it's perfect to have a Floridian do this. So
Are you from Florida?
yes.
Let me just tell you,
for the last 26 years.
Your humidity sucks.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Absolutely sucks.
That's a hard yes. It's a hard yes.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying.
It's hotter in Texas, where I'm in Texas, but it's dry. The humidity is not as high. So you might be 100 degrees, but it's not 100% humidity.
Right. And by the way, rarely do we get over 100 for the actual temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll hover in the upper 90s for, 60, 70 days or something like that. But the humidity is 80, 90, 100%.
Well, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
And my hotel room was not a fan of the air conditioning. So they're fixing that while I'm here.
Good.
And if they don't, I'm bunking with this guy.
Yeah, I
So-
got 2 beds.
I'm not staying in your room. All right, Chad, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
What is something the industry talks about constantly, but still hasn't figured out?
I'm going to go with the topic I talked about earlier today. So I did a session already, and it was about removing stigma and changing stigma into support for mental health. I hear a lot of HR professionals talk about mental health, talk about helping others, but then when I ask the question, so what have you done? How have you trained your leaders to notice what's going on so that way you can help these folks who might be going through some sort of mental health crisis? And we talk about it. Okay, so we talk about our EAP, right? Can you tell me how to contact your EAP without looking it up? Well, no, then you don't talk about it enough.
Right. The fact that they probably have no idea what EAP stands for.
Right, they know how to spell it.
Yeah.
Which is better than some people I've worked with don't know how to spell HR.
Well,
But
let's
that's
see.
a whole
William,
different story.
Starts with
William,
R.
can you spell this?
EAP.
He did it.
There you go.
There you go.
Good job.
It took me a second though.
But-
that's that recall.
Exactly. But you asked that question. HR, one of the roles is to make sure that they talk about this and they make sure that people understand it and that people understand why they need the help and what it's all about. But the other side of it, I asked the question today during my session. I said, so how many of you talk about it? Most people raise their hands. How many have it? How many talk about it? How many promote it more than just once to their employees? Yes. How many of you have employees who believe that the company knows what's being asked of the EAP and won't call the EAP?
Well, you still have the stigma of they think that anything they tell the EAP gets back to HR.
Correct. So I told them today, I said, here's a bold concept. You get a report from the EAP, just says how many people used it. That's all it says. Publish it.
Doesn't go into your HR file. But I would say the other thing for me, especially with this topic, is it starts with leadership.
100%.
If the leaders come out and say, hey, I've got this, I've got that, here's like talking about themselves, their own their own things, it's easier because it's like, well, the CEO said that he's, son's bipolar, this, that, and the other. Like, it's easier if leadership starts and really, they're the ones that open up the door for other people that then go, my son or I have or whatever.
And it's about the top leadership. And it's about, frankly, anyone who's gone through something like that. I did a training at a company a few months ago, and we had a specialized team that came in, one that we talked about alcoholism and drugs and depression and other issues because they work on their own a lot. And when they do this, we had one of the senior leaders come in and say, you know what? It's been 34 years since my last drink. If you're questioning what's going on, I'd love to have a conversation. To remove the stigma, to remove the, I'm too proud to talk about it.
No.
So So it's really, it wasn't getting on everyone, but it's saying, what can we do better? We can do better by making sure that not only we ask questions, and I love it because in the general session today, one of the things that they said is she got up there and she said, "How are you doing? Really?" And that was something that I had talked about in my session. Because
It's the really that makes the difference.
right.
Yeah.
If we stop and then you have to pause and allow them to answer.
Right. That's creating space.
Yeah.
That's all that is creating space. You don't rush in with your own opinion.
Right.
You just kind of ease back and go,
Is it me though? I mean, when people ask me that, I don't believe they're genuine. They're just kind of asking me that question.
And-
That's why I don't answer.
Well, that goes around, who are you overall? Are you an HR person who's approachable overall? And so when I ask you that question, I already have a relationship with you and I ask you that question. But here's the other side. As HR professionals, we really need to train our leaders to be able to start that conversation. They might not know what to say, but instead of polishing what the language is going to be, start the conversation, because that's what most people are looking. List is a door that's open, be able to start that.
I think, Ryan, your experience or that experience that you just illustrated is common. Because they're like, you don't really mean it. That's why it's up to the HR person to then go, no, really, it's just us. Or it's just us in this room or on this Zoom call. Nothing's being recorded.
When we
I really want to know.
when we notice signs, when we notice something, that's when we'll stop and say, I've got some time right. How are you doing? Really?
I think the way I've done that is I start with things that are going on in my life. So I'm like, hey, okay, so let me tell you, I was first diagnosed with manic depressive in 2000, oh good God, 13, 14, somewhere in there. And so I tell them my story and tell them my journey and kind of medicines. I'll like literally say I take Prozac or Wellbutrin every day. Every day I skip. I'm going to take those medicines until I die. It's like,
Yep.
that's it. That's
It's something that you need. I take heart medications
Yeah.
to keep me living.
Hey,
If I stop, it'll be the day that I die. But if, so I keep taking those.
You ain't skipping the day.
No, I'm not.
No.
So
You
I
should.
keep taking those, and it's the same thing with mental health. And the other side of it,
Point.
one part of it is people who have a lived story like you, and people who are willing to talk about it, because when you're willing to talk about it, other people are willing to come up and say, so how do you handle this? But the other side that I look at is I take a look at those employees who are dealing with this somewhere in their household. Whether it's their child, whether it's their spouse, whether it's their parent, and whether it's an illness, whether it's a mental illness, a physical illness, no matter what it is, And so for my story, I come at it from a lived experience. And that lived experience is that 9.5 years ago, we lost our son to suicide. He was 15 years old. And I talk about how we coped, how we got through it. And as I said today, it's not about looking for sympathy. It's about saying we can have the conversation, and it's okay to have the conversation, because frankly, if you don't, worse things could happen.
Oh, it could a whole domino effect. There's marriages, a lot of marriages they don't make it through it.
Absolutely.
Because they, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
They just don't make it through. They can't weather that storm. But bless you, by the way.
Yep. Thank you.
No bueno. Ryan, what else do we want to know with? Are we good?
I think we're good, Chad. This was good. You're a good first interview for us to fumble through today.
Excellent.
We're good.
Excellent. Well,
We
I'm
made
glad I could carry the ball for you. But, but welcome to Florida. Welcome to the heat and humidity. The good news is you're inside.
Yeah.
There's still humidity, but at least you're inside. And the iSolve booth right here has ice cream.
Yeah.
So what could be better than
It
that?
does. And I'm going to get myself one. I'm just going to eat it every episode.
Absolutely.
Put your head in that.
In the freezer for a little while. I like that.
Chad, thanks for coming on, brother.
Guys, thank you so very much. Appreciate it.
Take care.